The Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by Mid-Carolina Service Company.
Mid-Carolina Service Company is the first name to search for your residential or commercial HVAC needs in Lexington and surrounding areas.
Just go holla at Jason and Clint. They'll hook you up on the air conditioners, on the restaurant equipment, refrigerators, refrigeration, ice machine repair. They've been doing this for years. I know them cats forever.
Family owned and operated since 2006, they pride themselves in their quality work and customer relationships. Call 803-356-4153 or visit midcarolinaserviceco.com for a no obligation quote for service today.
The Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by True Brilliance Entertainment.
True Brilliance is a production, promotions, and management company dedicated to connecting artists and producers across the Carolinas to music industry professionals.
Several of their clients have placements both domestic and internationally as a result of their services.
Are you an artist or producer looking to build meaningful relationships within the music industry? Then True Brilliance is for you. Check them out at paramilitary.com. That's spelled P-A-I-R-A military.com.
This episode of the Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by Bob's. Bob's is a Columbia-based retailer of over 100 Black-owned products from 20 Black-owned businesses. Bob's offers a wide range of items from household cleaning, cosmetics, and everything in between. With every visit to Bob's, you support Black-owned businesses, giving them the opportunity to grow and establish connections with our community. Bob's is located inside the Noma warehouse at 2222 Sumter Street in Columbia, South Carolina. Visit their website, weshopbobs.com, for in-store pickup or to find out more. Bob's can also be found via social media on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at weshopbobs. When you stop by, tell them the Hilltop Glove sent you. Bob's brings quality Black brands to the Columbia community. The Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by Red Rooster Sports Bar and Grill. Red Rooster is your neighborhood bar and grill serving the best wings, burgers, and baskets in the Met.
Like the amazing food, the bar is always on tap, and there's plenty of screens to watch the big game. Red Rooster is the Midland's premier meetup spot for local car and bike clubs, fraternities, and sororities.
Staff is dedicated to accommodating all kinds of parties and events. If you're looking to catch a game, have a bite, and a drink, look no further than the Red Rooster.
Red Rooster is located at 7500 Wilson Boulevard, Columbia, South Carolina. For more information, visit redroostersportsbar.com or visit them on Facebook and Instagram at Red Rooster Sports Bar. Go where the winners go.
Welcome to the Hilltop Glove Podcast.
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 Welcome to another episode of the Hilltop Glove Podcast. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with the infamous JeanClaude. JeanClaude resides in Lexington, Kentucky after spending the past several years working as an artist in Charlotte, North Carolina. He received his Bachelor's of Fine Arts from SCAD in 2008. He finds himself working daily on illustrations, paintings, and graphic designs. As one of 13 children, he learned at a young age to use his art as personal refuge and has been dedicated to his continuous evolution as an artist for as long as he can remember. Edwards Fine Art has shown work throughout the U.S. and Sweden. Under his design alias, infamous JeanClaude, his clients include skate shops, restaurants, record labels, and clothing brands. As an artist, he is constantly creating even while he sleeps. His style blends illustration, symbolism, and abstract paintings into a style he calls neoglyphism. His paintings, drawings, and digital works are an exploration of inner and self-relations to the outer world, taking inspiration from different spiritual philosophies such as collective consciousness and psychological theories from Carl Jung. He uses his art as a visual meditation that is deeply personal yet universal at the same time. He likes to consider himself an avid observer of self and others and documents his reflections through a visual dialogue that aspires to be colorful and engaging. Most of all genres, but especially hip hop, soul, remains a constant grounding force in his life and inspirations for his art. How are you today?
I'm doing well, man. Sipping my apple juice and happy to be here, man.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, I mean, you have an excellent background, and I would say, what is it? What do we call that thing? What's it called? What's it called? Portfolio of
Yeah.
work, as well as your experiences that you have. And I know I've been glued to your Instagram for the past week, looking at the different work that you do. And I know my brother was really amped and excited about this, especially with knowing who your brother is, not putting two and two together so early. It was kind of funny, but it makes sense now. And so we're very glad to have you with us today here on the Hilltop Glove podcast. It's a beautiful Saturday, so we look forward to have a great conversation. And I'm going to start off like we do with all of our guests, man. We just want you to give our audience a little bit of your background growing up. If you could just explain to us who JeanClaude is and what makes you so infamous.
Okay. I think the infamous came like down the line, just in general. Like I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky. That's a college town, just college kids and just regular neighborhoods, you know. But my backyard had and on the trains and just like looking at like Jet magazine and different like magazines. I was drawn towards like the way things look, you know. And I luckily had like parents who were like, if you like something, let's explore it. Let's go to the library. Let's go to the orchestra. Let's go to whatever. So like my palette of like just art was open at the very young age. And just I built from there. And when I got to high school, I really opened up, like trying to figure out like what is my style, but I didn't really know what my style was. I took French class from I know I'm bouncing around a lot, but I took French class from freshman year to my senior year, and that's where I got the JeanClaude part from. We had to pick a name. With that, the infamous kind of like attached itself to the name. I didn't want to use my regular name while being an artist. I want to have like an alias to like create like a platform that's something different than myself, even though like it all merges, just something like a different space. But like just infamous, I think infamous for just being a hustler and persistent in what I do. Nothing too wild, just I'm very passionate and whole and true to what I do, all very authentic. So I've got a lot of the work that I've gotten with these, I guess you want to say prominent or up and coming artists, just being myself and connecting with like a just higher level, like they really care about what they do and it just aligns. Now I didn't have the most followers, the most people watching me, but they knew just off conversation and building that they could trust me into like creating what they needed for their product. All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So with you saying all of that, did you seek this? And I know we were recently, myself and my colleagues on the show, we actually went to our exhibition.
Okay.
And we were sitting in on this talk. And during the talk, the artists were explaining and expressing why they, at whatever age it was, that they needed to be an artist to express themselves. And do you have a time when you knew, okay, sixth grade, I was sitting there and I was drawing such and such, and I knew, yep, I should do this?
I got you. When I was younger, I think like most kids, I thought I was gonna be a basketball player, man. And then, but I could always draw. Like my parents always told me the story. Like when I was in kindergarten, they had like a situation where we had to like draw a fire truck, and everybody like generally drew like the square with circles, you know, and I drew like the hose and like the wires and like the person, and they're like, okay, you're probably gonna be an artist, you know. So as I got older, especially like I want to say like middle school, high school, I kind of resented art because every time art would come up, they'd be like, G can do it, Julius can do it. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why me? You know what I'm saying? Like I knew I had a gift, but I didn't appreciate it at that time because it was always you do it. It wasn't nobody else. So I think once I hit, yeah, right. I think once I hit past college or the end of college where I had some like health problems, art became like my refuge and also my therapy. And that's when like it really hit me like, okay, all right, this is my calling for real. Because I guess the perfect example was a lot of stuff in my senior portfolio was very like commercial or for like and I knew I wanted to do more than that. I wanted to be like album cover art or like people who did stuff like in the Complex magazine, if y'all remember that magazine.
Yeah.
So what I would do, I would do the assignment for the class, but then I would go home and just like do my personal work. And then with the last couple weeks when it was time to show your actual portfolio, I was like, I'm just gonna bring in what I've been doing at home. And then I was the first to present, and the teacher's like, after the whole thing was over, she was like, Julie's the only one that has a cohesive portfolio. I was like, okay. I was like, all right. I know I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah. And then from there, that just like sparked me up to be like, all right, I'm gonna figure this out. You know? Yeah.
Man, that's dope. That's dope, man.
So that kind of goes right into the next question. I've been looking at some of your works and it reminds me of like a collage. But
Yeah.
can you tell people like you have mixed media, like what type of like what inspires you to create your different types of work? Because I know I do art also,
Yeah.
but doing collage work is usually like I get a couple magazines and just cut out images and then just paste them all together.
Right.
But being a graphic designer, that's a little bit different. So can you explain your medium, your favorite medium, and what inspires you as an artist?
Okay. I think I started with like doing like acrylic painting, and that was like a heavy process because like you really got to like dive in and like take time and all right, what do I want to put on the canvas?
Mm-hmm.
How do I want to start? Like all that, and then with the graphic design part, once I left college, I know like album covers use like Photoshop and all that, and I wasn't proficient in it at the time. Well, I know that's how you created it. So draw and scan and then like use whatever I knew at the time to like build illustration with graphic design.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and then eventually I just found a style that worked for me with the cutout style where it's like I didn't have to like take the time to like cut out pieces.
Precise.
But yeah, but I can make the look through the program.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Also became like almost like a meditative thing in itself where I'm like making it how I want it to look.
Yeah.
But there's also like elements of that where it comes to structuring the piece or the composition where like everything aligns, but without you actually looking at straightforward, like, okay, that triangle connects to that shoulder, connects to that end of that top of that hill. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it makes balance in the piece, but that's the type of stuff it takes me a while to like make a piece because I really think about those things. That's why people, I feel, are drawn to a lot of my work because I make those conscious decisions to make the work elevate, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, your work does speak for itself. It does.
Right. And what was it, the last part of the question?
I don't even remember.
What?
Oh, okay. I remember. Like, do you what inspires you as an artist? Like, what do you gain inspiration from in your environment or in your community?
Okay. I think just life in general, nobody has the same perspective. Mm-hmm. So like conversation, chilling in nature, your own thought process, just living this life is a lot.
Yeah.
So if you can connect with other people, but also be lucky enough to have like release those thoughts, it's a beautiful thing, man. This world is a lot. This world is very heavy.
A lot to deal with.
People take, I guess, a lot of their, I guess, escapism through like different vices. But one of my vices is my art, man. I make sure I can like express that as best way I can, so other people, if one person sees it and inspires them to like whatever they need to do or achieve or follow the purpose. I'm doing my purpose, you know.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
You seem very spiritual and mindful and aware.
that I've had a few situations without over elaborating where things just open up for me. Like I pretty much open up and just put it that way. And it's hard to close it. Yeah, so you see the world different. You're not bad anybody, you're not whatever. You just you once you find your purpose, you go with that and just live life the best way you can and extend those gifts that you have to other people, and hopefully they'll plant seeds for themselves or at least listen and open up just the thought of like I'm more than my own thoughts, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, in the Webster Dictionary, art is defined as the conscious use of skill and creative imagination, especially in the production of aesthetic objects. But you being an artist, can you tell us your definition of art and how has it changed over your lifetime?
Oh, that's a heavy question. Okay,
Yeah.
my definition of art. It. Let me get a second to breathe real quick.
Start with the heavy shit right off the bat.
Being an artist,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to simplify art.
I guess for right now, it might change, but expressive representation. I think that's what art is. It's your own thought process because you can't fully show what's going on in your mind. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to like really say or tell, okay, this is what is in my head. But if you get like a glimpse of like what's in your head, people understand it a little bit, you're doing something right, you know? It's beyond like a pretty picture. Because for the longest time, like I never understood like Jackson Pollock and like somebody just putting a dot on a canvas. Yeah. But I understand once you master your craft, it gets to the point like what's next, and like you're just expressing in that moment how you feel. I'm not saying that every time fully, but I understand. You know, like if you started with like traditional art, like painting faces, nude drawings, whatever, like still lifes, and then you got to the point where it's like, how far can I take this? I want to interact. I want to whatever.
Right.
Eventually, you're going to get to a point. You're going to like repurpose what you already been doing and like just flipping it, or you're going to be like you're going to go down to like a dot. You're going to be like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. You know, so it might change, but this is what makes me like. This is my key point. You know. Yeah. But it creates conversation, which is half the battle of like art anyways. Like, what is next? You know what I'm saying? What can I do? Yeah.
That brings up a good point. That art is pushing to have you ask questions. Do you purposely attempt to do that when you create your expression of art, or is it something that comes as a side effect?
I think it's a side effect. Usually just like I get into a meditative state when I create. And I just like go on, like I was earlier, I go off of like my experiences. But I feel like the way I create a lot of my stuff, people can relate to it. So they jump in like, okay, I get this. It might not be exactly how because for example, when I had my art show in last August, it was like young kids to like professors to 70-year-old couples. They all came up to me like, I like this because of blah, blah, blah. It wasn't the same idea, but it was similar content. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And I'm like, okay, like I'm doing something, you know? Because like I just do me, you know? Like, but it opens the element of like, why are we here? Pretty much. I know it's very like open topic, you know, but are we on Earth? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the
point? It's the thing. It's the most important, but also the biggest one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But like you said, there can be like a line or a thread between the different pieces that you create, right? And this is a point you're making. I like how you're talking about this. even though the folk had different like ideas of what it was or understandings of it, there was a concept through
Yeah.
it that was keeping everything held together, which
Yeah.
goes back to what you were saying earlier. You put your pieces in that you did at home for
Mm.
yourself, and when you bought it to display at the end of the semester, she was like, his stuff is cohesive because, like you
Yeah.
said, that's something that came from your spirit
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was
and
all
it tied
different.
it.
All different stuff, but it just
Yeah.
made sense, you know?
Yeah. It was a part of the flow, part of your process.
Yeah, 'cause like the class assignments are like draw a turtle working at a desk. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is not what I'm rocking with. You know what I'm saying? But it was but it was like corporate stuff. You know, like
Yeah, yeah.
stuff you put in like design magazines or home and cooking. You know what I'm saying?
Stuff to get a job.
Yeah, it just wasn't it for me. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I would go home and just get my zone and just draw. Like this is what I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like this is my whatever. Brought stuff in. They're like, oh, okay, all right. Yeah. So
Did you ever have you ever looked to get a job in the corporate world with your art education, or have you always looked to be a freelance producer?
I always wanted to do freelance. I'll be real, like just in general, just for like the stability part. I wanted to do like corporate. Like I know I was going to hate it. You know what I'm saying? Like it just wasn't going to fit. Because I know I would like try to like do my version of whatever, and they might be like, "That's cool, but we're looking for this," you know. So I got blessed. I got blessed. Right out of college, I wrote like a business plan, gave it to my pops, and he RIP, like he blessed me with like a good chunk of money. Do you, son? And then I just for the first, I want to say 6 months when I moved to Charlotte, I honed in. How can I figure this out? I was like, okay, what's the best place I can start? I was like, MySpace is popping at the time. So like I would go to the music page, and I have a pretty good ear for music. So I would like find artists and be like, if I like what I heard, I'd be like, I'll do a cover for free, or I'll do a cover for $100, or if I do this, send me more artists. And then I just built like clientele from there. And I'm not going to like say some of the people that I like this stuff for.
No name dropping. It's all right.
But a lot of them are famous right now, but they probably don't know who I am. But it's
you make the road by walking. You decided what you wanted to do.
Yeah. But they stayed in contact with me like during the MySpace days, and then I helped them, and they helped me, and then that's how I got more clientele, and I stayed on it. And then I met people like Eric Arc Elliott from the Flatbush Zombies, Ron Amari, a few other people, and they rock with me since. So yeah.
Dope. I guess moving on to the next question, and I know I'll have some other things to ask you though, man, because it's very interesting. Making, and this is why we're asking, because making a living as an artist, it can be challenging.
Yeah,
we've talked with other artists about this before, and the fact that there's certain ideas that artists are out here living off of ramen noodles trying to make it to the next payday.
Yeah.
But branding is key, like to creating value. And I know there's some one person I do like that talks about this is David Banner, where he talks about the fact that you have to put value into whatever you create, and that goes with the branding, the marketing of it, and making sure that people pay you your fair share for your work.
Right.
So with that being said, if you could describe your brand with one word, what would that word be?
Authentic. Yeah.
Why would you say authentic?
Because I never switched up to like fit a mold. Like I knew it was gonna be a long run, but I was blessed to have a dope older brother, John Freedom, as y'all know.
Yeah.
He's like, at the beginning, I'm like, man, I want to get more money. He's like, man, just do. Like, don't worry about the bread; it'll come. And that, like, I was just too eager. You know what I'm saying? I was thirsty to like get in there, but you got to pay your dues. Like, and one thing, just like to connect like art to music, like most people are like, how did this person blow up so fast, man? I don't get it. If you look back at their resume, they've been doing it for 10, 15 years before they got to where they need to be, you know?
Preach.
So I've been doing this now for about 4 years, and I want to say the last 5 years has been like my catalyst to connecting with like the circle, and my circle is so strong now. Like people just like refer me to other people just off the strength. You know what I'm saying? It's been a blessing because they see the work ethic. They talk to me on the phone. They're like, chill. You let's say you know what you want. Like we trust your talents. That's how I got like the Moonchild cover, working with Eric Robinson. These are like my most recent stuff.
Yeah.
And he's extended his network to me to like a whole bunch of other artists in the game, and I'm very blessed that he did that. But just off and just me being me, he's like, I see what you're doing, fam. Like, go, just go. I'm like, work, respect.
Man, that's an important point that you made. And I know, especially for us, the millennials, and one thing about podcasts is trying to show people from people that are doing it how the real way that the sausage is made. And the
Right.
fact that you said, how many years you have to put into it. I know my brother and I, we were having this conversation this week about knowing that there are steps that you have to take.
Yeah.
Could you explain some of the steps that you took to establish your brand over that period of 14 years that you've been at it?
Yeah. I don't want to give away all the sauce, man, but
Give him a little sauce. Give him a little sauce.
But like basically I had a certain email I would send. At the beginning, I had a certain email I would send, and like I would like switch out the names. But like it was like a set email, like I will, blah blah blah, like I respect what you do. You know what I'm saying? It was not one generic, but it was like a placement holder, you know? And then I would get like a good amount of people off of that. But as Instagram came, I would cater the email to the artist. So I would make sure I listen to the music, look through the Instagram, and then be like, I would be very brief. Like if you like try to say too much, like in your beginning statement, they're not gonna look at it. You gotta be very precise. You like, I like what you do. I'm from here. Here's my artwork. If you resonate with it, thank you. If you don't, appreciate your time, and then get out of it. They'll eventually look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like artists check their DMs. Like if they're like a big artist with like millions of followers, it might be different. But like in general, they're gonna check it. You know what I'm saying? Just don't think it's gonna happen like in 2 days or a week or whatever. But what I usually do, like for example, when Eric Robinson, he added me like randomly, I'm like, oh shit. So I immediately DM'd him, and then he responded right away. You know what I'm saying? And then we started working right away. So it's literally like people got to realize they do check their DMs. You just can't. You gotta be patient. You know.
Gotcha.
But also precise what you're about. You can't be like beating around the bush like, yo, what's good, fam? Blah blah blah. You know. No, you can't be doing. All right. I like what you do. I like your sound. I think our work will mesh together. Here's some of my work. Like show them examples of your work, and then be like, if it rocks with you, cool. If it doesn't, thank you, and then leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Yeah. It's usually gonna come back around. So at some time, because the one thing I'm all the time is that like the music industry and the art industry in general is very small, but it's big. You know, so a lot of people know other people. So it's basically the 6 degrees of separation. Because I'll talk to an artist and I'll be like, do you know blah, blah, blah? Oh, yeah, I know a person that knows them. Because, oh, that's how I know you. I seen your work before, like 5 years ago. I didn't know you did that. Oh, you did that cover? So, like, your resume speaks for itself. And that's what you got to realize, too. You can't have things happen overnight because you don't have a resume. You don't have something they can look back on and be like, all right, they've been putting in the work. They know what they're doing.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. I like that point. People, I used to have that question too as a young one growing up watching these artists. Like there'll be certain people who start following them and you'll be able to like, especially when the ability to binge on stuff came out, you could binge on a season or something and you're like, oh, they got like 3 seasons up. And then now they're putting out this other work over here. And but how did they do this so quickly? No one tells you that they took steps to get there, that it took 4 or 5 years to build up that content, to create and foment a movement behind them that could support that brand. Do you think that going to an art and design school prepared you for that?
Yes and no. It gave me like the structural foundation, like just like
Mhm.
reiterate like my skills as an artist, just like know the formulas of like what's drawing, you know what I'm saying? How to draw a face, all that type of stuff. Creating composition, like all that type of stuff, yes. But like in general, it's basically it might sound bad, but it's basically like a competition within the competition in the school. You know what I'm saying? Like you're competing on somebody else's craft when you gotta find your own style. You know,
Dang,
like yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. So that's once I like reeled that back because like aesthetically, some of those kids are extremely talented. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, damn, I can't draw like that. But I was like, that I had to reel myself back. It's like that's not your space to draw like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you have another lane you're on and nobody's on that lane. You know what I'm saying? You cruising. So once I locked in that and realized that, I was like, okay, cool, I'm good. And then like that last I told you guys, that like validated what I needed to know as a creative. Like nobody's art is gonna look the same. You know what I'm saying? Like a pretty picture
Yeah.
is a pretty picture, but abstract can like bring so much thoughtfulness and openness compared to like a pretty picture is good to look at and it's not bad. It's not a bad thing at all. But
Yeah.
like that could be copy. Like you can't copy a style. If you do,
Right.
you're just jocking somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's
Yeah.
it's not tight. Yeah.
And then when I look at your work, I see a certain style.
Mhm.
Like you've created your own aesthetic. So,
Yeah.
and can you break down again for some of the people that don't understand the term mixed media and the difference between graphic design and painting?
Okay. The difference,
Yeah.
like painting, is just like canvas work. So like acrylic oils, something the other medium. They're like paint, brush, canvas. Graphic design is usually like in Photoshop or scanning work back in the day, and then making stuff like you see in like magazines or posters or billboards, things like that. Extend the question, my bad. I lost my train of thought for a
No,
second.
that was it. But what
Okay.
is your favorite? Since you do everything, what is your unique style? Which one is your favorite? Because you incorporate all of them, but
Yeah,
which you have one more than the other?
I really like as like probably painting, but that takes a lot out of me because
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
when I was really going through it for a minute in my 20s, like paintings was like my refuge, man, and like
Mm-hmm.
I really like tapped into painting and like I would like literally like mentally escape from the world. Like, I'd
Mm-hmm.
just be like in the canvas and just sometimes I wouldn't even it wouldn't be like a finished product. I just like putting the brush on the canvas and just going, you know. Graphic design is a little bit more easier because it's just the functionality of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I still get in those states where I can like get meditative and just like how I place things. I can move one piece around for 10 minutes. Like, okay, it should go here, maybe go here. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like just making it look right. You know, I like that of the process of like aesthetically making it appealing. Besides the just the colors and all that, just like making all the elements come together and make a beautiful piece. So I think my paintings probably number one, my graphic design, two, and then my drawings maybe 2, 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know being an artist, like your mind is like everywhere.
Yeah.
How did you get the business etiquette side of things down
Hmm.
as an artist?
Hmm.
Because I know that's a tough route for most people. They just want to create, but
Yeah.
you still got to do stuff behind the scenes. So how did you have a mentor in that area, or like you
Oh,
said, you had a business plan, but
yeah. If I
Yeah.
needed any additional type of like, okay, what should I do on pricing? What should I do on this? He was there because, as you know, Joffrey is very multifaceted when it comes to like music and just he's very smart and intelligent dude, man. So like he would like guide me, and then this young lady, Katie Pilgrim, she became my art rep for 5-6 years. So she give me a lot of shows in like Knoxville, Nashville. She kind of handle that stuff. And then when she moved to California, we kind of broke ties. We still talk, we cool. But I've been doing it pretty much on my own the last 7 years. But I'll hit her up every now and then when she have free time to like just get advice, because she used to work at a couple galleries in California. So she's very much embedded in the gallery and like art scene. She's been for a while. So she helped Joffrey. And then actually I just invested in a brand about a month ago. So that's going to take a little relief off me, so I can focus fully on the art, man. So,
Indeed.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
And I have a quick question about the gallery and the art shows, exhibitions.
Yeah.
And I know in the art world there is this, so usually there's a gap between what you consider gallery style work,
Yeah.
the street art. Do you exist in both worlds?
Yeah.
And that's what I was about to ask. So how do you move
Yeah.
between both of them, especially since you're doing most of this stuff yourself?
I guess, especially with the graphic design stuff, it fits more in that realm, whereas I guess it bounces. I guess you want to say high end or whatever. My paintings is still more, I guess, like you said, street. So I do in Charlotte, I would have like a lot of my art shows at like skate shops.
Oh, smart.
So like they was coming there and like, all right, cool. Like, can I shout out to Josh from Black Sheep Skate Shop from day one. He never like, I knew nobody besides my brother in Charlotte, and I was like, I got to start moving and shaking, man. So I ended up finding that shop. I was like, yo. I think I had like, before I left Charlotte, I think I had like 4 or 5 shows there. So whenever he's like, yeah, just let me know. You know,
very
it was
receptive.
cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, he was cool. He respected the hustle, man. So, but like gallery wise, like it's hard. Like gallery wise is very much who knows who. I know it's bad to say, but it's part of it. It's the truth. It's the truth.
Now they deal with that down here in Colombia too.
Yeah, not unless you're big and then like, okay, let's bring them in. But it's like who you know. So I'll propose to a lot of galleries, but it's like they'll ask, will it fit in this gallery? What type of gallery it is? Who's the audience? A lot of elements that you have to place in part to figure it out. Well, yeah, I go back and forth between. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite between the two worlds?
I resonate more with the skate and hip hop culture, man. So
That's
I don't mind. Yeah, that's how I started, because that's where I figured out my style. Just like looking at magazines and like skate videos and hip hop videos, Rap City and LRG advertisements and all that type of stuff. Like that was and definitely vinyl covers. I would look at like 70, 60 vinyl cover with the collage style. I'm like, wow, this is dope. But they did it like the very, very traditional way, you know? So I was like, yo, this is what I want to do. But I didn't fully figure that out until later, but I was drawn towards that stuff at a very young age. The gallery stuff intrigued me, but it also like, why is everything so clean? Why? Like, yeah.
There is a specific way it goes.
Yeah.
A specific template.
And also, it's like at the time I didn't have the full vocabulary and know about to like talk to some of these people. You know what I'm saying? Some of them want to like over talk you. Not you know what I mean? Like
explain to me what you mean.
Like over knowledge you about art. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
I figured out a nice medium where I can still be myself, but also say what I need to say without them being like, you don't know this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know T or whatever. You know what I'm saying? John Michelle Bosch. Yeah. So it's like, all right. I know. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
that has to be kind of interesting. I know one of the things I know when we first started the podcast, we always asked guess this question, and I know as things have started to progress, we stopped on that, but this for you would make sense, and I know this is why this question is here, and I know
Mm,
the pandemic, it slowed down a lot of art activities, exhibitions, and shows. It's just
right,
what it is
right,
because the culture of it is to be around with people, talking, communicating, socializing. That's
right,
part of the game.
right.
Now that things are beginning to open up, but how do you think the pandemic has impacted the ability for artists to participate in exhibitions and art shows? And have they had to find new ways? And if so, what did you do during that time to make
Mm.
sure you were still making a living?
I stayed on my hustle with like emails and contacting people, and I try to keep my. In addition to that, I made sure I kept my mental health intact by like calling people, other artists, seeing what they're doing,
Smart. Smart.
figuring out like, all right, well, and like I said, I was blessed enough to connect with Eric Roberson. He's like, we're not doing live shows right now, but I'm doing like backdrops where I do performances, but I need visuals for the back. Can you do that? I'm like, bet. So we figured out
Oh,
like
wow.
different
Okay.
things to like make it work. You know what I'm saying? Like we just worked around it. Like
Yeah.
now that I was like, how did I pay my bills during that time? But I did though. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
the time it was time to pay rent, or whatever, I had it, but it was tough. It was tough. Yeah.
And your recent move as well, has that also given you a little bit of pause for cause or having to restructure how you do your shows and your exhibits in your new market? Has it been a large learning curve, or had you just jumped right into it, no problem?
I gradually moved into it. I knew it was going to be a different environment from Charlotte to Kentucky, but I know like most people are intrigued by art, so
Hmm.
I just make very dope business cards and have conversations. I don't present the card first. The conversation at a bar, or like talking to somebody randomly, and then if art ends up being part of the conversation, I'm like, oh, by the way, yeah, I do art. And I'll give them the card. And then they'll, okay, and then it goes from there. So I just slowly like I make the balance of like I'm a social introvert, so I make the balance of
Hey,
like staying home, but also on the weekends going to the bar and just like connect, like
and you
sitting
still
down
do that hand to
conversation.
hand combat.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I call it, that's hand to hand combat.
yeah,
Yeah, because you got to get out there and mix and mingle. And
yeah,
I totally understand, especially like we were saying, that is part of that culture. You're supposed to do that. And I know for a lot of folks during the pandemic, folk who are artists, they've had to come up with great creative ways to do. And it's cool though, because artists are responsible for a lot of the creative things that we've seen
yeah.
coming out of the pandemic. Like you all create solutions. And
Right.
that's one reason why I love art is because it's a solution based medium. Like that's like people say you could do different types of art, but there's something coming out of it that's probably going to solve somebody's problem.
Yep.
So that's something I always like. And then one more question about exhibitions and art shows.
Okay.
Do you think it's important for artists to own their own spaces where they put on exhibits?
Hmm.
And if so,
Um.
what are some of your ideas on how or how to use that type of idea, like a space where artists actually own it and they can put on their own events?
It's a good question. If you had your own like, just like regular space, like this is my look through the
Hmm.
glass, like all my art. I think that'd be a dope situation. But also, me just thinking as it's like I guess like a share or like I understand galleries have to stay open so other people can see it. So I understand needing a commission. So it's like a back and forth. Like you don't want to take away from those galleries, especially those genuine galleries that want to help artists and they need to eat too. But I understand your side where like having your own gallery can be very beneficial for you. It's a back and forth. But you can always do it like open studio if you have your own studio where people can come in and just vibe with you. And like if they like something,
Yeah, explain open studio concept. What's that?
if you have something outside of your house like a studio that you rent out or whatever, you can have people come in and just like hang out and if they like a piece, they can buy it right there. You know. So
That's dope.
yeah. So you can do that, but like I said, it's a back and forth between making sure the people who are making space for us artists to have a platform get their bread, but also us getting bread too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
'Cause we gotta live, we gotta pay bills, we gotta get more art supplies. So yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And do you think that go ahead?
I said it is not cheap being an
No,
artist.
No, I was about to ask.
no,
Yo,
like acrylic paint, like the good stuff. Like I said, you can get the like cheap basics or whatever, but like acrylic paint, like one tube was like, if you get the good stuff, it's like $10 a tube, you know. So, and it's like a small tube. So,
say how far does that tube go?
Yeah,
How long, depending on the piece you're working on.
yeah, exactly. If you have like a larger piece, it's worth it in the end, but it's like in your mind, like that could have been a meal.
Yeah, real talk.
But you're sacrificing for the greater good. You know what I'm saying? You're doing what you love, so it makes sense. But yeah.
Now, have you ever thought about taking someone under you, like a mentee?
Eventually, yes. Right now, it might be too much because like things are kind of like excelling. So I don't want
fast.
Yeah. So I don't want to get them lost in the sauce. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want them to be like, oh, what's going on? Is it too much? Is it going? But yeah, eventually, yeah. Especially when I get painting, if I have like bigger canvases, they can help like do like the base and stuff like that. And yeah, and just give them the game like my brother did for me. I want to help the next artist excel. So yeah.
Yeah. I know being an artist is very time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of creatives like struggle with finding a healthy work-life balance
Mm-hmm.
and being effective with it. What are some of the ways that you maintain a healthy work-life balance?
I make sure I give myself. I have a pup, so like I'll take walks. I sit in nature. I'll like go to the bar, but I usually go when it's not busy. And just like nowadays, like if you go to the bar, like people are on the phone, like I'm gonna be that annoying person. I'm gonna start asking you questions, man. Because that's the point of sitting at the bar. Like if you don't want to talk, like sit at the table. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's it.
I'm not trying to be grimy, but I'm just saying like that's the point of the bar. Like you want to detox and just all right. Hey, what's up? How's your day going? You know what I'm saying? What's on your mind? You know, just build. Because like the bartenders can only take so much. You know. But at the same time, I know we can get like a good conversation flowing. I guess hopefully it'll inspire both of us eventually. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Do you have any advice for other people? Because I know me as an artist, it's hard for me to find time to sit down and create. Like I only create when I'm feeling like vulnerable. Like you said, it's a therapeutic process.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to be like, all right, I need to create from 2 to 4 or through this gap, and and then when I'm looking at the art, I'm like, all right, I need
to feeling it.
Yeah, and don't come back for like a year.
Oh man. I think a good starting point for me is like music. So I might put some music on, and that might spark something. I might not finish the piece right there, but at least I started, and I can come back to it. But like music inspires so many things, especially memories.
Yeah.
So you can listen to a song, but I remember when this happened, and then you can start creating from there. So one thing is like we're always inspired. Is how motivated are you to want to be inspired? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah,
that's a very interesting way to put it.
Because like you can let yourself be held back by like, oh, I'm not ready or not. You'll get to the point you're not ready, and this time's gonna be up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got to push through. You just got to push through and be like, yo, this is really what I want to do. Don't over push yourself, but if you really care about your craft, you'll at least start things. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking to myself too. So it's not like I'm like trying to preach like this out. Like I'll get into moments where I'm like, dang, like I really don't want to do nothing. But I was like, I know I have something in me that I can like at least start today. You know? So
instead of just waiting it out. Okay,
yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And I guess when RIP, when Virgil passed away, even though I didn't know him personally and not like that, I respected what he did for the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And he had so much more that I know that was in him.
Right.
And he was only like 40.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, like, I can't let these ideas just sit in me, man. Like,
Right.
I don't want this. I don't want God forbid, something happen and like, I have so much to give
It never came
to the
out.
world for inspiration and just like making my footprint in this existence. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to miss out on doing that. So I'm just going in. Yeah.
So,
Man,
will you have any upcoming?
A few, but I don't want to like jinx them.
Understood.
Yeah, but like there's a lot of things. You know how like you say a project, then like they'll fall through or whatever. I know a lot of these are like solidified, but I kind of want y'all just to see it when it happens. But some great things you're gonna see about summertime for sure. Yeah.
So where do we follow you if we want to just see what's coming up?
Okay. My website is infamousJeanClaude.com. My Instagram, the same thing, infamousJeanClaude.com. And I guess for just like jokes or perspective, you can go on Twitter, infamous JeanClaude.
Excellent. Man, dope. That's where I'm at right now. I was already up there bothering around looking on that, man. I'm telling you, man, it's been a great conversation with you today.
Yeah.
I know this is gonna be our, I believe it's our last recording for the year right now, man.
Yes.
So, man, you help us make it to our milestone,
You summed up
completing our second season, and you've helped us sum this up well.
If I could ask to end the pod, can I ask you guys a question?
Of course.
Sure.
Okay. What are you guys' purpose?
Ooh, my purpose is to help and assist on this planet that we exist on.
Mm.
I've been thinking about that one for a while, so that's a good question to ask. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And my purpose is to cultivate creativity in people. I want people to understand that everybody is an artist and everybody is a creator. We come from a creator, so they just need to tap inside and dig inside. So I don't mind helping them pull it out of themselves, whether it's in the painting field, drawing, painting, theater, any type of art field.
Yeah, I got this fatherhood thing taking priority at the moment, but
It's
on
real.
a larger scale. Oh yeah. But on a larger scale, yeah, facilitating other humans,
Word.
kind of nurturing that environment where creativity and expression can be. Because this whole like locking off and isolating and echo chambering, that's not the way. So, yeah. He got that fatherhood thing too.
Oh, he's stuck. I'm trying to get him to chime in too, because I want to get all of us on it.
No, he got a good one.
No, I'm here. Oh, of course,
Oh,
man.
there you go.
All right, what's your purpose?
Connecting other people, helping to build value.
Good
That
plug.
could be, most definitely. Well, with that being said, go ahead. Anything else you want to say, JeanClaude?
No, yeah, I just want to say mine since everybody said theirs. I think it's, for me, it's like to create, inspire, heal myself and others.
Yeah.
It's definitely gonna be the soundbite for the episode. It's gotta be one of them, man. I'm telling you, man. I'm pleasantly surprised on this conversation today and the topics that we talked about, information that we get with the conversation, and that's just a reflection of you,
Right.
as well. Because if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't get that. But man, like I said, it's been a pleasure conversating with you today. Of course, this will be our last recording of the season. We want to thank you for helping us to reach this milestone, and man, we can't wait for season 3. But before we do depart, as I always like to tell people, man, thank you for listening to the Hilltop Glove podcast. This is DJ And What with Tamaya, Skip, Mike, and our fantastic guest, the infamous JeanClaude, holding it down. We just want everybody to make sure you go out there and love those people around.
That's it for today's episode of the Hilltop Glove podcast. Make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other platforms. Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Hilltop Glove.